Welcome to VGK Today, presented by MGM Rewards, a daily podcast bringing you an inside look at the Vegas Golden Knights 2023 playoff run. I'm Brian McCormick with the Golden Knights, sitting in for Justin Russo on Sunday, April 30th. While the Golden Knights await the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs, they now know who their opponent will be after the Edmonton Oilers finish off the LA Kings in 6 games. And while we know there's nothing quite like being at T-Mobile Arena during the Stanley Cup playoffs, those who can't make it down to the Strip can still have a virtual front row seat courtesy of the Golden Knights social media channels. On Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, what have you, fans can dive into the Stanley Cup playoff action, looking behind the curtain and through the lens of VGK admins, or as we call them, Gordon Weigers and Caylee Allard. On today's episode, Gordon and Caylee clue us into the joys of covering the VGK up close and in person, the fun relationships they form with the players because of it, and what they love to hear from fans like you.
Thanks, Brian, and a happy Sunday to you. By now, our listeners are familiar with the voices of Darren Millard and Dan Duva and Ashley Weiss and the rest of the bullpen that's called upon for the VGK Today podcast. Some unfamiliar voices today. Gordon Weigers and Caylee Allard here from the Golden Knights social media team. Caylee, how's it going?
I'm great. We're having a great weekend. The boys were buzzing at practice, and we're preparing for round 2, so everything's great.
Everything is great. The vibes are high. Yesterday, the Golden Knights were on the ice on Saturday at City National Arena for a full team practice. A couple of players were out for maintenance days, but the energy was high on the ice. If you follow the Golden Knights on social media, you would have seen yesterday some content from down by the ice of players smiling and laughing, and Caylee, you captured a good photo of one player in particular with a pretty noticeable smile.
Yeah, so Ben Hutton, very lovable defenseman, he had some tape on his helmet that said Ben with a smiley face. We're still trying to figure out who the culprit is, but Ben was all smiles, all practice, as he always is, so it was very fitting for his persona. We'll keep you updated, though, if we ever find out who put the tape on his helmet.
There's always mystery pranks going on. That's kind of the beauty of this locker room, and the vibes always being high, and that doesn't happen without some characters in the room, which we'll get to later on. Some players who you're probably fond of already, but maybe a peek behind the curtain will help nudge you over the edge of saying, this player's, among my core favorites. But before we get to that, just want to talk about the intensity of playoff hockey. We've seen it across the league already so far in this postseason. A couple series already off to Game 7, and the ones that have ended already, including the series between the Golden Knights and the Winnipeg Jets. The intensity's there on the ice, but Caylee, we're seeing it on social as well.
Yeah, so obviously if you follow our Twitter, which if you're not, at Golden Knights.
Nice.
So we're known for, our creativity, and sometimes when we can be cringe, but that's what makes us stand out from the crowd, and we embrace it. But we obviously work very hard all year to bring our audience and our fans the best experience possible, and then that kind of we emphasize that tenfold during the playoffs because the intensity on the ice changes, and so does our social strategy. So we're always busy, but we're even more busy with planning and how can we bring the best experience to our fans and our audience during the playoffs, especially when the vibes are high. We want to emphasize that on all socials, and we want to bring everyone as close to the team as we can and just kind of broadcast how great the room is this year. We can't emphasize it enough. The players always talk about it, but we see it too on the social side, so we want to make sure everyone can experience that as much as possible when they scroll through our channels.
And it's an emotional time of year for hockey, where when Bruce Cassidy said this in, I think, his media availability the day after the Golden Knights lost Game 1 to Winnipeg 5-1. In the playoffs, when you lose, you feel like you're never going to win again. And when you win, you feel like you can't lose. I would say that kind of translates over to the Golden Knights social media and the way that our fans engage with us. When things are going great, the positivity's there, and of course the trolls rear their heads whenever they want, really, but regardless of what's going on. And when things are going bad, we hear you as well. but it's that energy of our fans in the digital space that translates pretty much the same way it does in the arena. When things are going great, the crowd is behind the guys, and the same thing goes on social media. So when the tension's high in a double overtime game, or when everything's cooking along in a series clincher 4-1 win in Game 5, we see the replies, and we always appreciate the positivity. Speaking of which, we've got some loyal followers who we'd like to call some attention to and thank them for their support, and make sure that we're celebrating the people who celebrate the work we do on social media. Caylee, you've got one in particular who's especially in this playoff run, maybe the last month of the season too, this Twitter friend who's become part of our daily conversation.
Yeah, shout out tech_27. His handle, or his username, is
his or her.
Yeah, his or her is ztech27. His picture is a cute dog. His or her picture is a cute little dog. And whoever you are, I love your replies and the positivity and the support. When we changed our profile picture to LB, your response was W profile picture. This goes hard. So we do recognize your replies, and we always read them and we crack up because we think they're awesome and we love the support. So believe it or not, we do read the replies, sometimes more than others, but Z-Tech, you're awesome, and we appreciate all of your support. Oh, and I love the Brossois is literally him. We will let him cook. So we second that, and we love it. So thank you.
That's some of the best part about doing this for a living is, we speak social media to each other out loud, and it's something that if you heard a daily or a day-to-day conversation between the Golden Knights admins, you would think that it was a Twitter thread, and we appreciate the fans that use that internet speak with us on social. If you follow the Golden Knights at Golden Knights, as Caylee mentioned, that's 2 plugs now for our Twitter handle. You would have seen yesterday a tweet asking where the hashtag VGK Worldwide fam is at today. And there were some great responses that we'll take a quick scroll through here and make sure that our fans around the globe are celebrated. One that's been around for a long time, Joel Ireland I won't even try to pronounce the town name, Joel, I'm sorry, but he's in New Zealand. Tweeted a picture of, I guess Joel was out on the boat today. So it's a good day for a boat day here in Vegas today, isn't it, Kales?
Yeah, boat vibes before it's 110 degrees. So gotta enjoy the 78 degrees and breezy. So
it's playoff hockey weather.
It is. In Vegas it is.
Right. Which is easier said than done when we go outside at 5:30 for a 7 o'clock puck drop and it's still 106, and I'm in a suit and you're in your professional garb as well, and we're maybe a little sweatier when we get back inside than when we went outside. But
yeah, good thing the rink cools us off though, because I'm always cold. So, and then I complain when I go outside and I'm always hot. But I'm an East Coaster, so I'm still warming up to it. No pun intended.
Pain is temporary, content is forever. Caylee, don't ever forget that.
Retweet.
Let's see, we've got our friend John, who's playing roller hockey in Irvine, tweeted a photo to us. Playing some roller, so keep the inline game going. Shout out to Linda in Scotland. The UK representation was strong today. Charlotte in the UK. We've got Andy in Henderson. We've got Edmo in Indiana. Edmo's having a mimosa or something, wearing I assume it's a Mark Stone jersey with the captain's patch on there.
Cheers to our captain.
Cheers to the captain. Stephen's in Manchester. Jim's in Northern Ireland. Robert's in Holland. I guess when we tweeted this, it was a high volume Twitter time in Europe. We've got Nerd Night in South Florida, a VGK fan deep in the heart of Panthers territory. So keep repping your gold and don't let them get to you as they're getting to the Bruins in this first round series.
Oh,
too soon. Anyway, we've got a check-in from Spain. We've got German Raider in Germany. We've got Jill in Winthrop Harbor, Illinois. Just, Caylee, you've been here for a year, and I know you've seen it. The support from fans around the world. Just what what do you think when you see that? Coming from, both of us come from the East Coast where hockey is number one, but seeing that here out in the desert.
It's pretty electric. I mean, everyone says hockey wouldn't work in the desert. Obviously, we know they were dead wrong. But even me, never really being out west or never even expecting a team to be in the desert myself, I was just blown away by the passion when I moved here. And the fans are very knowledgeable, and they don't mess around with their Golden Knights, especially after the October 1 tragedy. Mm-hmm. I know it really brought the city together, which is incredible to see. And it's honestly one of the reasons I fell in love with hockey, is because it's such a tight-knit community, and to bring that out to the desert and the West Coast where it's very prominent and you don't really think twice about it in the Northeast, but to bring that out here and to be able to see people that are Vegas born experience the joy of hockey in the NHL is just amazing. So I'm glad that I can be a part of it, and I can emphasize back home to all my East Coast family and friends how awesome hockey in the desert is, and that it can work, and that the fans make it work, and that the Golden Knights are truly one of the best parts of the city.
I always say, when I first got out here, I came from the Boston Bruins organization, and the last hockey game I worked before I got out here was Game 5, Bruins Lightning. Maybe it was Game 4. Anyway, Bruins and Lightning are playing in the second round, and TD Garden was absolutely jumping. Playoff hockey in Boston, it's a unique animal. And after that, went through the whole summer, ended up out in Vegas with the Golden Knights, and the next hockey game I attended was preseason Golden Knights Coyotes. And when I tell you the atmosphere in the building completely blew out the atmosphere in Boston, I mean that with all sincerity. It was unbelievable. So Vegas really has become a hockey city, and we love seeing that in person at all the games, where Caylee and I are at every home game, and then one of us is on the road, sometimes both of us, but we see it here as well. And a hockey city it truly is. As we look out the window of our office here, there's maybe 50, 60 people on the ice getting a good skate in. So you can hear the sounds of skates ripping through ice. You can hear the music that everyone's dancing to, and maybe you can hear the sound of the water filter behind us, where Goldie makes her residence, the official team pet of the Golden Knights. There she goes swimming by. Follow at VGK Fish on Twitter if you haven't already for updates from Goldie.
Goldie says, "Glub, follow me."
Yep, that's a direct quote from Goldie. Speaking of direct quotes from Goldie, after Game 3 in Winnipeg, Golden Knights take the double overtime win against the Winnipeg Jets. Michael Amadio, the overtime hero, capitalizes on a puck that squirted out to him in the middle of the ice, puts it just by the ear of Connor Hellebuck, and scores his first Stanley Cup playoff goal. Michael does his interviews after the game with Sportsnet and with I think it was an ESPN game or whatever it was. He was the hero, so he did his interviews, and then afterwards I went to give Michael a high five, and he said, "Hey, that was for Goldie, eh?" Michael, of course, one of the players in the launch video for Goldie. Goldie's become quite a talking point with Michael Amadio as we get into a little peek behind the curtain, if you will, some little pictures of players who aren't household names, but these little snippets and day-to-day interactions hopefully will make you think of these players in a different light, maybe give you a little insight into who they are as people. Caylee, we like to catch up with Michael in the locker room when we get a chance. How do you describe those interactions?
Yeah, Amo is fantastic. He won't really go out of his way to have a full-blown conversation with you, but if you go up to him and talk to him about something, he's really funny, and he will crack a smile and always have a conversation with you no matter what it's about. And obviously we're on the bench during warm-ups, and the guys are definitely locked in. There's not much conversation ahead of a game, especially during during playoffs, but Ammo has really taken Goldie under his wing because he will talk about Goldie to us during warm-ups occasionally. So we think she's really made a mark in his life. We love to see that. But Ammo, he's a man of few words, but the words that he says are always interesting and funny. So the guys love him in the locker room. He definitely, throws some chirps out there unexpectedly. So yeah, Ammo is definitely an honorable mention for me. Great personality, smiley guy. He just doesn't say a lot, but if you get him at the right time, he's a gem.
It's very abrupt humor. Where
yes, dry,
it's
clean cut, just
meat and potatoes humor from Michael. We also love having our conversations with Ben Hutton when the room's open. You mentioned the smiley face on the helmet today. The word beauty gets thrown around in hockey, doesn't it? But man, does it apply to Ben Hutton.
Ben Hutton is also another gem. You can talk to him about anything, and he's very talkative. So same kind of vibe as Ammo, but this guy will talk to you about anything. He always mentions how he loves dancing. I've even heard him sing. He asked me one time why I had two phones, because we obviously do use a work phone for all of our content. And he began to rap and sing along to the song Two Phones by Kevin Gates. So we actually mess with him and call him Ben Two Phones Hutton. And he'll hold the, phone, do like the phone with his hands, the motion, hold up to his ears and do the little two phones dance. And he's also someone who's always kind of bopping around during warm-ups and, asking us about the mix and if we could add certain songs to it that he likes. So he's a big personality in the locker room, and we love seeing him smiling. He's definitely a big jokester too, and he's just the type of guy that will get along with anyone, no matter who you are. So
yeah, it's always a treat crossing paths with Ben, if it's in the hallway at the rink or even through the glass for a practice. If you've been paying close attention this year, for a good stretch during the season when the Golden Knights D-core was healthy and Ben Hutton was the odd man out, he used a different tape job in warm-ups every game, and he would get his warm-up in and then hop off the ice and get a workout before he watched and cheered on his teammates. But it's that little opportunity for humor for Ben when he's out on the ice and has a completely different tape job, usually pretty ridiculous looking. It's always a good time. And speaking of humor, it's hard to walk past Alec Martinez's stall without cracking a smile. You heard his conversation with Gary Lawless a few days ago where he was beaking his teammates who were directly next to him in Zach Whitecloud and Nicholas Haig. But Caylee, we talked to Alec Martinez when we were in New York about a certain children's program that brought back a lot of nostalgia.
So if none of you have ever heard Alec Martinez sing, he sings the Reading Rainbow theme song, and he does it very well. And he asked Gordon and I if we know about the show, and we're like, of course, classic, that song slaps, So he obviously had to give us his own rendition of it, and continued to sing the Reading Rainbow theme song right in the locker room, right next to Nicholas Haig as well. So Hager can vouch for us on that he did in fact sing that song. And Marty reminds me a lot of Marshy, very vocal, also always chirping his teammates. He also has no filter, so you never really know what you're going to get, but it's all playful fun and humor. He will definitely mess with you, so you better watch your back around him, but it's in the most positive way. If he messes with you, then he likes you and you guys are buddies. So there's a really funny video we posted of him chirping Pietrangelo about being his stallmate. So I'm sure some of you guys saw that on our Twitter, but that is basically the Marty that we get every day, and the guys love him for it. So not only is he a veteran, but he has fun in the room, and people really gravitate towards him because of that. And
you mentioned Jonathan Marchessault, who's on a bit of his own, I think he's doing it for his own amusement, but he's on a bit of a kick right now where anytime he sees our phones out recording him, he'll say something like, "Stop following me," or What do you want?" And pardon the Jonathan Marchessault impersonation there, but it's it's something that he's really latched onto, and sometimes it makes for a funny video, and sometimes it just sits in the camera roll and doesn't get posted. But when the team was in Winnipeg and Jonathan did his usual antics to my phone, recording him walking out to the ice, he came up to me in the locker room after and said something to the tune of, "Oh, you like that? You like when I ruin your videos?" And little does he know that's the content that people want. Caylee, you mentioned Nicholas Hague again earlier. On Friday, it was an off day for the team, and I had the good fortune of going out and enjoying the day and playing some golf. And before we got to the first tee box, ran into Nicholas Hague, who was making the turn, going off to play the 10th hole, just finished his front nine. And everyone will be, including Nicholas's family, very happy to hear that he asked if he could use my sunscreen because he saw me applying and said, "Oh, golly, I forgot. Let me borrow some of that." And he lathered up well. So in case anyone was wondering if Nicholas Hague wore his sunscreen the other day, the answer is yes. And of course, as a hockey player does, he was sure to chirp one of his teammates, whose name I'll leave out, who definitely forgot the sunscreen the day before the team picture. And once that's out there and circulated, you might be able to try to figure out who that is. Caylee, you call this player a wholesome king all the time. Tell us about Nicholas Waugh.
Well, no pun intended, because for those of you who didn't know, Waugh translates to king in French, which is why that's his emoji. So if any of you are ever wondering, you learned something new today. Wazzy is probably one of the friendliest, nicest, chillest guys I've ever interacted with. I actually had a conversation with him on the bench before warm-ups the last time we played in Edmonton. And he kind of likes to sit on the bench pregame and just take it all in and zen out a bit. So I was on the bench getting some content, and, I was like, "Hey, Wazzy, what's going on?" Just, small talk. And he was saying how it was such a late puck drop that night. We started after 8 p.m. and then we had to fly back after. So he's like, we really got to win this game because it makes the flight back so much better. And I was messing with him and I said, "Yeah, no pressure. We really got to win because it's going to really stink flying home so late." And so I said to him, "Have a great game, Wazzy." And then, if you guys remember, he scored the overtime winner in that game.
Oh, this was Edmonton?
Yes.
Oh, I love it. I hadn't heard this story. I love this.
Oh, yes, this was in Edmonton. So I kind of wished him luck before the game, and he was really, really had that emphasis on winning this game. And as you know, this was his second game back from injury as well, and he scored the overtime winner for us. So when I boarded the team plane, Wazzy stops me and gives me a huge smile and goes, "Hey, we won the game." So it was just incredible. He's very friendly, like I said, always smiling, and he wouldn't hurt a fly. So we love Wazzy for his wholesome personality.
Very wholesome indeed. And another one who kind of fits that bill, kind of fits all the bills we've been talking about already, Keegan Colasar. Someone who's always, if he's not first in line, he's second or third when the chirps are flying around to get his take in. But my favorite Keegan Colasar story, last year, it was in February, and the team had an off day after we played in Calgary, and we didn't have a game for another week. So the team took a quick 2-day trip to Banff in northern Canada, and we went out to Lake Louise, just a beautiful mountain backdrop. We played some pond hockey, and I was fortunate to get out there with the guys and mix it up and show off my high school hockey skills that were very clear that I wasn't going to play any higher level of hockey than that, but the guys accepted me in the pickup game anyway. And while we were out there, I went down and ended up tearing a ligament in my knee. Toughed it out through the rest of the game, of course, got through the day, hockey player, but ended up having an injury to my knee for a couple months and had crutches and a big brace. And where it comes back to Keegan Colasar, I stayed traveling with the team, and whenever we got to a hotel late at night, or any time where I had, my backpack in a suitcase or anything, without ever being asked, and I would always try to be polite and say, "Oh, no, thanks, Keegs, I'm good." he would come over, he would take my suitcase from me, and he would say, nope, I got you. Once you're back on your feet, you're on your own, bud. But those are those moments that you see a player out on the ice and you like his game, and then you hear those, or you see those moments up close that really adds to what you feel about a player. So that's where Keegan Colasar is for me. Caylee, we wrote down a few more names here. Brett Howden's the next one that I'm looking at here. And if they gave out an award, we do our postseason awards for first star, for seventh player, for community service. If we had a politeness award, who's on your ballot?
Brett Howden is definitely on it. He also is another one that's always smiling. Very humble guy, just became a dad, which is awesome. So congrats to Brett and his wife. So he lights up when he talks about his son already. I think he said he's 2 weeks old, but we were joking about how, it's going to be a playoff baby and it's going to bring us luck. So now he has a little son. I believe it's Charlie.
Charlie Rhodes.
And good luck, Charlie, I think we can call him, because we're rolling here. And by when I say we're, I mean the team. But Gordon and I, we try to roll on social as well.
Right.
But we're rolling here, and so I guess that is good luck, Charlie. But Brett Howden is another guy who will just, he won't walk by you without saying hello, how are you? And he'll make small talk with you, and the guys love him in the room as well because he's very friendly. And he also sits next to Wazzy in the locker room, so we have two wholesome kings with Howden and Wazzy sitting next to each other. So that's a very wholesome corner of the locker room.
I think my favorite thing about Nicholas Waz, the nickname Wazzy is longer than his actual last name.
That's hockey players for you.
That's right. Michael Amadio, shortened to Ammo. Howden, shortened to Howdy. Marchie, from Marcia. So Waz, the only one that gets longer, and that's one of my favorite things. And that's hockey for you, as you said. You said we're rolling along, and rolling along we are. Golden Knights off today, Sunday, April 30th. Back to the ice tomorrow, Monday, for an 11 a.m. practice. That's all for Gordon and Caylee. Brian McCormick, take us on home, buddy.
Well, thank you, Gordon, and thank you, Caylee, and how much fun it was to hear how much fun you have covering this team day to day and up close and in person. I think from listening to Gordon and Caylee's discussion, one of the things that really jumps out to me is the amount of trust that the players have with Gordon and with Caylee. There's a reason why when you tune into the VGK social media channels that you're getting that maybe a look at the lighter side of some of these players, that they can let their guards down. We're so used to seeing hockey players in interview settings and talking about getting pucks in deep and sticking to systems and trying to make sure they say the right things. But when they're around Gordon and Caylee, that's when we see the personality come out, because there's trust there and there's fun there, whether it's Gordon playing shinny on the pond with the players at Lake Louise, or whether it's Michael Amadio's affection for Goldie. That's some of the personal story building that comes through over the course of many weeks, many months throughout the season, and the bits of levity we'll see during the high stakes pressure of a playoff run. So tremendous for Gordon and Caylee to tell us how they make those stories come to be. And also to make clear that when you write something, when you comment, when you post at the VGK admins, they hear it, they read it, they think about it, and they want to hear more from you. So don't be shy. Make sure you're following the Golden Knights social channels throughout the postseason, at Golden Knights on Twitter and Vegas Golden Knights on Instagram and TikTok. That's where you're going to get the best behind-the-scenes coverage throughout this Stanley Cup playoff run for the Golden Knights. Before we let you go, we'll remind you that with a limited number of full season ticket memberships available for next season, the 23-24 campaign, the Vegas Golden Knights will hold an exclusive Select a Seat open house this Monday, May 1st, in advance of their second round series against the Edmonton Oilers. At Monday's event, the Golden Knights are going to invite all prospective full season ticket members to view available seating options. Current members of the Can't Wait list and current partial season ticket members will have priority access. The general public will have an opportunity from 4 to 7 p.m. at T-Mobile Arena. For more information and to RSVP, head on to VegasGoldenKnights.com and make sure to subscribe to VGK Today wherever you get your daily podcast so you don't miss a moment of the Golden Knights' quest for the Cup. Justin Russo is back in the saddle again tomorrow, and it'll be Darren Millard on the mic to get us set for the Oilers and Golden Knights in Round 2, a series that will start at the Fortress. I'm Brian McCormick. This has been episode 14 of VGK Today, presented by MGM Rewards. Go Knights, go.